Vocabulary is very important when you talk about 11 plus.
What is the right time or age to start on this preparation?
So your target school should always be within.
Why should any parents embark on the 11 plus journey?
It's not compulsory to embark on this journey.
So there are different routes in the 11 plus. One is for the grammar schools. Another is for the independent schools. If you can speak in the distinction of these schools.
It all depends upon. Sometimes what happens is parents just put the pressure on the child, but they themselves are not mentally ready to get onto it.
Have you seen any mistakes that parents make before they start this whole preparation?
In the actual 11 plus exam, you hardly get 10 minutes to read a particular comprehension. So if a child's reading skills are very good, then it becomes very easy for that child. Even after giving these exams, it's very important to go onto their school website and see whether they have a catchment criteria.
Have you seen a situation where a child and parent should not get into the 11 plus journey?
Not everybody has gone through the 11 plus process, right? There are so many successful people, successful students, successful kids in life who have not gone through the 11 plus process, but they are still very successful. But this is literally a small journey in a very long story. So grammar schools are all the state funded schools. Independent schools are.
What should be their strategy just before the exam? Should they appear for mock exams? Should they practice more of papers? What should be their strategy? The 11 plus journey can feel overwhelming, not only because of the preparation, but because parents must navigate different schools, catchments, exam formats, tutors, mocks, application deadlines, to name a few. In this special episode of Unblur the Path, I speak with an experienced 11 plus tutor, Deepa Kirpalani, who takes us through the entire process, from deciding whether the journey is right for your child to choosing schools, preparing effectively, and managing the pressure along the way. This is not simply a conversation about passing an exam. It is about approaching the 11 plus with greater clarity, balance, and perspective. But before I begin, I have a small request. I really urge you to please subscribe to the channel because it helps me bring guests like Deepa. Also, please watch this episode till the end. There's a gift for all 11 plus parents, and I'm happy to share that with all of you. Hi, Deepa. Welcome to Unblur the Path.
Hi, Lakshmi.
It's a pleasure to have you today because I'm sure any parents who want to embark on this 11 plus journey would learn immensely from your wisdom and your experience. So I can't wait to have this conversation with you.
Thank you for having me, Lakshmi. It's my pleasure.
Lovely. So the first natural question that I get is why should any parents and their kids embark on the 11 plus journey?
So Lakshmi, I would say it's not compulsory to embark on this journey. It all depends upon a child's capability. It all depends upon how, I would say, focused a child and a parent is. And also, it is very important for the parents to understand whether the child has that capability to work under pressure. Of course, it is a little pressure as compared to the regular schoolwork. Face the challenges positively, without fear, and how curious the child is and how much attention to detail a child can give, because these exams are difficult exams, I would say, because it pushes the child to their extreme levels, or I would say the child has to give definitely 100 or 150 of their capabilities. So it's very important for a parent to first think whether my child and can we both together basically navigate through this process in a very positive way. So then only it's important to take a decision. So rather than putting that pressure only on the child, because sometimes what happens is parents just put the pressure on the child. They expect the child to work, but they themselves are not mentally ready to get onto it, and then they feel the pressure once they are in the journey. So one of my parents told me once that 11 plus is for parents, not for students. So which is very true, because if they are happy to give 100%, it is very important to decide then to start or not to start.
Okay. And what is the right time or age to start on this preparation?
The right age, of course, we start the proper or focusing towards the 11 plus curriculum is from year 4. But if parents decide that they want their child to go through this process, they should start building up, or what I would say, start the groundwork from year 3. Work on their vocabulary skills, work on their comprehension skills, getting their maths concepts right. So it is very important to start building that base, what I would say, the groundwork from year 3. And of course, in year 4, you start the preparation really properly so that, year 5 is a bit easy for them and it goes and they can navigate it through, without too much pressure on them.
Okay. Okay. If you can elaborate on what you mean by groundwork.
So groundwork, I would segregate into separate subjects. So vocabulary is very important when you talk about 11 plus, because you don't have only maths and English. We have verbal reasoning and non-verbal reasoning. So for verbal reasoning, vocabulary is the key. You have antonyms, synonyms. There are many questions from based on vocabulary in the verbal reasoning paper. So verbal reasoning is very vocabulary is very important, of course, from understanding the English comprehension also. You should have a very strong vocabulary. Then when it comes to English and maths, English, of course, the comprehension skills and the grammar. So once you start preparing that from year 3 and reading to many comprehensions, doing a lot of comprehension and the grammar, so the child is used to, because in the actual 11 plus exam, you hardly get maybe 10 minutes to read a particular comprehension and you have to answer, say, 30 questions based on comprehension. So if a child reading skills are very good, which you start doing it from year 3, then it becomes very easy for that child. Then the other subject is maths. Of course, maths is vast. It's very important to start building or start getting the concepts right from year 3 itself, so that year 4 you go to the next level of a particular topic. See, I'll explain it to you. 11 plus is always 1 year plus. Most of the students who give the exams are only 10 years old. When they are only 10 years old and they are giving 11 plus exam, that means the exams are targeted for 1 year ahead of the national curriculum. So when the child finishes year 5, they give the exam once they start year 6, but they have to cover the year 6 curriculum as well. So year 3, when you start preparing in year 3, you see to it that the child has at least started the year 4 curriculum to a certain extent. When you are in year 4, the child should be ready for year 5 curriculum. And when you are in year 5, we try to cover year 5 and year 6 curriculum. So that's the reason it's always, I would not say put so much of pressure, the number of hours, all those things are manageable, but at least start thinking from that perspective. Of course, it is not wrong to start late. Some kids are very intelligent, they are very able. Even if you start in year 5, they can skim through the exams very easily. So it all depends upon the child's capabilities and abilities and other factors as well.
Okay. And have you seen a situation in your experience that this kind of child, or this is a situation where a child and parent should not get into the 11 plus journey?
See, you cannot deny a child to give an exam. So that I don't think so is right. And I also think knowledge is not wasted. But it is very important to tell the parents, or the parents should be aware of that the child may not be able to, I would say, it's not about, I would say, achieve the required benchmark or the pass mark, but definitely I would not stop any child from not giving the exams, because if their friends are giving or if their peers are giving the exam and they talk about it in school, the child should not feel left out. And also, again, it's a learning journey and it's a learning process. So not everyone will get into grammar school, that's for sure, because the number of seats in the grammar schools are very limited. So the kids definitely spread out, but learning is It's always good. So I will not deny a child, but yes, the parents should be definitely mentally prepared. They should not be disappointed in the end that my child didn't get through a grammar school. So yes, I have had cases where I have to tell the parents, we will prepare, no problem. That is a mutual understanding between me and the parents. We will prepare. I will definitely teach. They can definitely learn, but outcome we will see what happens in the end. So definitely, I never guarantee any outcomes. So yeah, so yes, I have had cases like that in past.
Okay. Okay. So there are different routes in the 11 class. One is for the grammar schools, another is for the independent schools, and then there are super selective schools that we have heard of. So if you can speak in the distinction of these schools, and then we'll dig deeper into each of them.
So grammar schools are all the state funded schools, and they take students only on merits. So they have the exams. Every school has a different exam, what they think is right for their selection process. Independent schools are the schools where you actually pay the fees. And of course, they have their advantages if you are getting into an independent school. And the super selective schools are also schools like Henrietta, Barnett, QE Boys, where the exams are a little, I would say, they are slightly more difficult as compared to the other grammar schools. So their benchmark, I would say, the requirements or the papers are way more difficult as compared to the other grammar schools. But yeah, those are the different schools which anybody can target on. So there's no rule that you can't apply for all these different types of schools.
Okay. Can we talk about the advantages of one over the other? In case parents are taking this as a way to decide which route they need to take.
So advantages. So if I talk about grammar schools, is the biggest advantage is because they are so selective. So you know that all the students or most of the students in that particular patch will be of the similar academic level, I would say, right? So that is one advantage when you have a grammar school and you don't have to pay the fees. Overall, certain grammar schools provide better extracurricular opportunities as compared to the others. So it is very important for a parent to take your child, go to the open days, see whether the child is comfortable in that particular atmosphere, and then decide which grammar school is good for my child. Certain grammar schools have catchment criteria. So that is I would say is a little bit of disadvantage, for some disadvantage over the independent school, because independent schools, they don't have any catchment criteria. You can apply from wherever you are, any geographical area where you are. When I talk about the independent school, the advantage of the independent school will be they have better extracurricular opportunities. Class sizes are smaller. Definitely the pastoral, of course, pastoral care, both the schools, you need to look into the pastoral care for both grammar schools and independent schools when you're deciding. Commute, you need to check whether which school. So say, for example, a grammar school, Nick, the commute to a grammar school is better as compared to an independent school. So then grammar school has a better advantage over an independent school. So these are the basic criterias or basic areas which any parent should look into before they decide what category of schools they want their child to go into or apply for. So sometimes most of the parents, they apply for both. They give the grammar school exams and the independent school exams as well. So they keep their options open. In that, then they are at a better state to decide eventually which one to pick. So whether a grammar school or an independent school.
Right. And how can people check whether they are in a catchment of a particular school, grammar school in this scenario, and make a decision based on that? Because initially, parents may be overwhelmed because there's so much information flowing in from every direction. They may or may not understand whether they are a part of the catchment or they are not a part of the catchment, and whether they should apply or just skip that particular borough. So, if you can start this by answering and explaining what boroughs are, what how they are conducting their exams, and then how parents should decide on whether they should apply for that borough's examination based on the catchment criteria. If you can elaborate on that.
So catchment criteria, you can go on to every particular school website. So wherever, so say for example, I will give you an example. Say Southwest Consortium. So Southwest, before I start, actually, I will tell you what consortiums are. So consortium is basically a group of schools which conduct only one particular exam for those schools, right? So for example, Southwest Consortium. Southwest, if you appear for the Southwest Consortium exam or the test, entrance test, you can apply for parameters, St. Clementines, Wolford Grammar, both girls and boys. So these 4 or 5 schools, they will only conduct one particular exam. Okay. And then you can apply for any of these schools. Now, even after giving these exams, it's very important to go onto their school website or the consortium websites and see whether they have a catchment criteria. So every consortium like Buckinghamshire, Sutton, you take other schools. So all these boroughs, or you will say the consortiums, will have their catchment criterias on their websites. So these are the admission criteria or the catchment criteria. So you need to understand whether you are in that geographical area or in that particular postcode. So some schools have inner catchment and outer catchment criteria. So basically you have to go onto their websites and find out whether you actually are there in that particular criteria. Now, if a child is outside the catchment area, but a child still wants to, and the parents still want to target that particular school, so the only option is either you get into that catchment area and then target particular school. Targeting a school living outside the catchment criteria actually makes no sense. So you should not apply for that, or that school should not be a target school. So your target school should always be within. So if for example, a parent is saying, I'm going to apply for, say, Dr. Challiners, girls or boys. So you can apply only for Dr. Challiners, girls or boys, only when you are in that Buckinghamshire catchment criteria. If you are outside the catchment, you can't apply for that school, even if you can apply, or you can go and check their historical data, because even if you're outside the catchment, sometimes if they have seats in the end, they pick students outside the catchment, but the seats will be very limited. So they may pick only 2 or 3 students outside the catchment. So for that, you should not only look for the past year data, you should look the historical data, like for past maybe 5 years, how it has been. So there have been cases where kids have got admission outside the catchment, but they get only on through the wait list. They will not get the offers on the national offer day. So that goes down the wait list. So you have to get into the check the postcodes or the catchment criteria before you even think of applying for that particular schools.
Okay. And many of these catchments have their cutoff dates before which the parents need to move to that particular location
Yes.
if they are targeting that particular borough.
Yes.
So, if you can speak about that as a guidance to parents, that they should start planning it well in advance, is what I think.
Some schools they allow you to move after the results. So
Yeah.
they give you that much time. So sometimes, so the results are out 1st of March, say. So say 1st of March. So they will allow you to move after the results till, so the schools will start, the academic year will start in September. So they will allow you to move till, say, 30th of September. So you can move after the results are out, but some schools will expect you to move before you give the exams. So the exams are in September or October. They will, so you have to move, say, for 31st of March. So if exams are in September, you have to move till 31st of March. Again, every year they keep on changing. Mostly they keep it at least consistent for a few years, but it is very important if you're starting this journey. It is very important, say in year 3 or year 4, you look into the schools, you go into the particular school website and find out all this information on their websites, because even if I tell you certain things now, it might change next year. So it's very important to go onto their particular website and find out. And if they tell you to move by 31st of March, you should make sure that you move before 31st of March in that particular area or catchment area before the exams.
Right. No, I will share in the description or some of the links of such websites so that parents can at least start from there and then explore for the boroughs that they are mostly interested in.
Yes.
So that would be helpful for them to at least have a start. In your experience, have you seen any mistakes that parents make before they start this whole preparation for the journey in terms of catchment, in terms of looking for tutors, in terms of the approach and attitude towards the whole 11 plus preparation?
So the first and foremost, it's not a mistake, but because they are so new to the journey, I would say they just sometimes they keep only one target school, which is not right, definitely. So you need to at least have two or three target schools, right? Because you never know how a child performs on that particular exam day. So you need to definitely have a plan B and a plan C. This is one thing. So sometimes they keep only one target school. And also, they need to understand the capabilities of the child. If you're keeping a particular target school, whether is my child capable enough to achieve those targets? Uh, Sometimes they get influenced by the schools their friends kids are going to. I think these are the two main things, which are the target schools, and also they think only they always look for the prestigious schools, because sometimes these prestigious schools may not be the right fit for your child. It may be a right fit for some other child, but not for your, because if you are in a prestigious school, it comes with other, I would say, other, it comes with a baggage, right? You have to keep up to that level, to that academic level, to their performance levels. So, they need to be, I would say, be a little more practical in terms of when they start looking for the schools.
Yeah.
That is one thing. They need to understand their child. They need to make sure that will the child be happy in this particular school? Will the child be confident? Will the child be motivated? How much progress, how will this school help in the progress of my child? So I think, their child should be the target rather than the school. So they should understand their child and then get on to the then start looking for the schools. So, and also, of course, commute is also one big thing. Sometimes what seems to be very easy on paper is not very practical, right? So it is very important to open days. Yes, you should always go for the open days. Take your child for that particular open day. See whether your child is very comfortable in that atmosphere. And also, when you're looking for the commute, you should commute during the peak hours and see how the commute is during those peak hours. So, you have to be a bit more practical, because it is for next 7 years. It's not a thing what you are looking only for a year or for a month. So you have to be very practical enough in that sense, I would say. So these are the things that parents should always look for before even making any decisions, right? And if they are looking for independent schools, their financial budget, whether it matches with their budget. And the second point, when you come regarding the tutors, now how to select the tutors, right? That, I think, that was your second part of the question. It is very important to select a tutor where you think, first of all, find whether that tutor will help you in the journey of the targeted schools. So
Yeah.
if the tutor cannot help you with that particular, is not preparing for those particular schools, then I think that is not the right one. Second thing, the feedback. Is the tutor will Does the tutor gives you regular feedbacks? How is the communication with the tutor? Is are you freely able to communicate? Because sometimes it happens that they teach, but you don't actually know what happens in the class. So regular feedbacks is very important. And also, you need to monitor whether child is progressing after after the settling period. I know you can't expect miracles in a month, but after 2 or 3 months, when the child goes to the tutor, do you see any progress with the child? And is the child having a positive attitude towards learning? Has the child's attitude towards learning changed after going to that particular tutor? All these things are very important, rather than only sending to a tutor who just covers the portion,
Right.
just covers the
Yes.
syllabus.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing this part. My next question to you would be: is there a kind of number that a parent should have in terms of how many schools, if there is a mix of grammar and independent, or even if they're just targeting one type, say grammar or independent, is there a particular number they should keep in mind that, okay, let's only apply for so many and let's not pressurize our child beyond this? So, do you have that kind of an idea?
I would say, if I'm talking about the numbers, we should definitely, any parent should definitely have at least, if they are doing only grammar schools, at least 3 to 4 grammar schools. Practically. Also, I understand because nowadays the catchment criterias are so difficult and it's very difficult to get into 3 to 4, but at least 3 to 4 grammar schools, if you can, you should have an option open for that, because when you fill up the CAF form, you have 6 options. You can put 6 options in that CAF form only for the grammar schools. And if you ask me for both grammar and independent, I would say around 4 to 8. You can definitely keep 4 independent schools as your target schools.
Yeah.
Roughly around 4 to 8, a combination of a grammar and independent schools, because the only thing when you're targeting for both the schools will be, the only disadvantage will be that the child will have to appear for multiple exams. If we are focusing only on grammar schools, we'll finish the exams in September. But if we are going ahead, then we have to prepare till definitely January, until we finish all the interviews. That is the only, and of course the application fees for the independent schools, what we have to pay to apply for those exams. But 4 to 8 in combination, I think, is a decent number. I don't think so. I would push the child beyond that.
Yeah.
Because I think after preparing for year four, preparing in year 4 and year 5, we can understand how much a child can do. Yes, parents try to give as many as exams, but it also depends upon the child, whether the child is happy to take so many challenges and appear for so many exams. So it all comes down to the child and parents' capabilities, I would say.
I'll ask very basic question here, which you kind of hinted in your answer, but for more clarity, all the grammar school applications, are they charged? And how about the independent school applications? Are they
The
charged?
grammar school applications are not charged. They release the supplementary forms after the Easter holidays. When you're talking about the charge, I'll just explain. I'll just give you information about the supplementary forms as well. So after Easter holidays, all the schools release their supplementary forms. So by 1st of May, all the forms are available on the school websites. So you just have to go click on those forms, fill up, give the information, and that's it. So they are not charged. You don't have to pay for the exams. So you just towards, I think, first week of end of July or first week of, I mean, definitely end of July, most of them, they will send you the date and the slot for the exam. Dates are released, but which slot your child is. So you will come to know the slots of the exams when your child is going to be, when your child will appear for that. And you just go to give the exam. So they are not charged. Whereas the independent schools, all of them are charged. So you have to pay fees for the applications, all the independent schools, yes.
Okay. And while making a list of these independent schools and grammar schools, or a mix or separately, whichever route the parents choose, you mentioned quite a few criterias that a parent should take care of. How much importance should parents give to the leavers destination, that the students are going to which university from that particular school? What is the thought process behind that? And can you elaborate with your experience?
So definitely, I would not say any parent should ignore that the universities that the leavers go to. You should not ignore that part of information. But yes, that part of information should not be a key drive for targeting that particular school, because even if you have so many students going to Oxbridge, that school may not be the right place for your child. So I would not say, see, this is what I would say success. So I would not say success of achieving a particular university, you should come down to a particular school. A child can achieve that university even by being in a comprehensive school if the child is capable enough. So that should not be your key area or key drive for that or key target for that particular school. If you want, especially when it comes to independent or even grammar school, I would again repeat the same thing. Please, it is very important to understand whether that school is the correct fit for your child, whether that school is providing good pastoral care, whether your child will be confident in that school, whether your child will be happy in that school, and whether the child will get opportunities to make good friends in that particular school. And also keeping in mind the extracurricular activity. A child may be excellent at particular sport, but if the school is not supporting that particular sport, I don't think so that school is right for that particular child. Like, say, for example, a child who's extremely good at gymnastics and doing gymnastics at a very high level. And if you put that child in a grammar school or an independent school where gymnastics is not given that much weightage, I don't think that school will be right for that particular child.
Right, right. No, that makes a complete sense of the criterias that parents should actually look at and not go by what's being discussed in their social circles,
Social
maybe.
circle, yes. So don't get influenced. And see, we as human being we are influenced by things happening around us. But yes, but the focus should be the child rather than anything else. So sometimes I read somewhere, if nobody asks you which school your child goes to or which school your child is in, will you pick that particular school for that child, or will you go down that path of 11 plus journey? So if the answer is yes, irrespective of anything, that I will want my child to go that, but I will target that school for my child, then only I will pick that school. I would not come under any kind of social pressure or pressure from the friend circle or as a prestigious issue, I would say.
Right, right. Before we move on deeper into grammar and independent school, I would also like you to talk about those boroughs which have no catchment criteria for taking in students. Besides having the schools that are in your catchment in the list, how can you approach this no catchment boroughs and apply for them and then think about movement later? Because comes as a information later to some of the parents that I could have applied in that particular borough and then moved later, because not many people, like you have briefly mentioned it, but not many people are aware that there is an option like this as well.
So definitely, see, you can't apply for a school which has a catchment criteria and you're not in the catchment of that particular school. So you can basically, it's not that you can't apply. Yes, you can apply, but you can't expect your child to get into that school because you're not in that geographical area. So again, coming down to the same point, you need to go on their websites, read about their geographical criterias, read about their catchment criterias, and then only you can make a call whether you want to move in that particular area, okay, and whether that school is my target school. In this on this aspect, I would say it is a bit risky for any parent to move to a particular area only keeping in mind one school as a target school. Say, for example, the child doesn't performs well on the exam day, and the child is not able to achieve the cutoff mark. So then your move will become, it will be a waste, and it involves too much of course, financial constraint on the parents, because you're moving from one place to the other. So you should never target one school and move only because of that school. So always you should have a plan B, plan A, plan B, plan C ready. I always discuss with the parents, I tell them, can you keep your options open and not move to any particular borough or a consortium, just keeping one school in mind.
Right, right. No, that's a perfect point. That's a very important point, that a child may not be in the best of their health or,
Yeah,
just the mindset
yeah,
to do their best on that particular day, even though they must have been performing very well during the preparation phase.
definitely.
So obviously, plan B and plan C should be in place for
because
sure.
because what happens on that particular exam day, you don't know, so you can't. And you have to be, apart from that, you have to be always mentally be ready. Rather than having disappointment at the end, you always have to be mentally be ready. It is a journey. It is a learning process. You don't have to be disappointed or disheartened if you don't get your first preference. Sometimes the kids who don't get their or get their second preference are sometimes in a better state and are very happy in their school as compared to the school students who get their first preference. I have seen that many a times. So I always believe in destiny, and I always say, parents, tell them your child will go to the school where it is destined to. Definitely. So we all put our efforts, but whatever all happens, it's all for the best. So you never have to be disappointed. You always have to be mentally prepared. If this, not this, then this. You need to keep your back there. Not everybody has gone through the 11 plus process, right? There are so many successful people, successful students, successful kids in life who have not gone through the 11 plus process, but they are still very successful in life. So this is literally a small journey in a very, I would say, in a very long story. So the 11 plus journey is a very, I would say, it's a very beautiful journey if you take it in a very positive way, because you learn so much every day. You learn so much, and you learn the skills which will be there with you throughout your life. You will not forget these skills. It's a very beautiful journey if you take it in that way. But if you take it as a pressure cooker, no, I would say rather not do that. You have to put efforts, you have to put enough of work, hard work to achieve. And nothing in life, you don't achieve anything without hard work. So there is no solution to that, right? So, you have to take it in a very positive way rather than taking it as a very big pressure on both, on the families and the students. So you need to keep a balance there. Be very
Yeah.
clear what is required.
Yes, absolutely. My next question is, in the line of what you've just said, how can parents make it enjoyable for the kids? The hard work is there. Attending tutors may be an option. Doing their homework every day towards the exam is what is a mandate mostly. But how can the parents still make it enjoyable and not create that pressure on the kids or on themselves for that matter?
So the best way to do is to have a routine, be disciplined, be consistent in what you do rather than procrastinating work. So once you start this, you'll get homework, you'll have some exercises to do on a regular basis. So you need to have that particular routine of finishing off your work, whatever homework you get from your tutors, from your school. If you have a proper discipline, proper routine to finish the work, then you will have some time left in your hand. And also, many parents, what they do is they cut off all their extracurricular activities. Is not right to cut off all the activities. You need to keep a little balance. So if the child thinks that this is part of my life or part of my journey, then they take it in a positive way. But if you cut off everything from their regular schedule and expect them only to sit and study, then it becomes an exhaustion for them. Then it becomes very overwhelming for them. Then they think that it is too much of pressure. So I think parents need to keep a good balance between the extracurricular activities, a good balance in their social life. Of course, not party every weekend, and also give enough time for the kids to rest. Make sure that they are sleeping enough, make sure they are eating well. Sometimes eating becomes a very big issue with some students or children, I would say. If they are eating well, they are sleeping well, they have a balance with the extracurricular activities, balance of family time. It's not only extracurricular, balance of family time is also equally important, because once you have a good family time, you have a good bonding with the child. If you have a good bonding with the child will open up with you. The child will not keep things to himself or herself. So, if you understand how the child is feeling throughout the whole journey, it becomes a very beautiful journey for them rather than, becoming more, again, I would say, more of a pressure for them.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's wonderfully put. That's, I think, the most important bit in the whole conversation, I would say, because it's very important for parents to keep their sanity and their emotions in check before they can expect or regulate their kids' emotions, because it's very, very important for kids to feel this as not a very pressured journey. It should be an enjoyable journey, a journey of learning. And I totally agree with you on this, that
But
they
because
should.
they can learn with you. And if you're I have seen, like, I've gone through this whole journey with my daughters as well. So if you are with them, alongside, if the child is getting stuck with particular homework, say, sit with the child rather than just expecting the child to do the work and just leaving it. So, and if you are nowadays, of course, we have so much of social media and everything. If a child sees that my mom is sitting on phone and on social media, and my mother and or parents, not mom, I would say, my parents are expecting me to sit and do the homework, I don't think so that's fair on the child as well, right? So you need to make sure. See, and I started. I think I told you initially that this journey is for parents more than the children. So if the kids, if the students or the children, they see that the parents are supporting them 100%, then they also feel, yes, it is our responsibility to finish the homework in time. Or if you give incentives like, if you finish this, we'll go out for dinner together, we'll go out for a small walk together. I'm not expecting you to take the kids on long holidays. These small things of going out for ice cream. Okay, finish this paper, we'll go out for an ice cream, we'll go out for coffee, we'll sit together, we'll go for cycling together, go for walks together. These are small incentives, and I'm telling you, nowadays kids long parents company so much that it is very important, and they are really happy with these small incentives rather than big holidays. So what I always see in in many of the students. So if you keep a balance, if they also understand that my parents are equally a part of this journey, I think they find it more enjoyable, and they take it in a positive way. I think it's happened with you as well, with your daughter. When she went through the journey, I could see that you were there with her all along. I could see that, when you're doing the papers with her, you are discussing things with her, you're solving her problem. So she thinks that, my mom is helping me throughout. I should give a little more. And she can always look back, whenever she would come to me and she would say, no, I have gone through this with my mom. I understand this very well. So, that also brings a positive approach in her towards the learning, that my mom is helping me. So, that support from, I would say, even more than tutors, even more than the schools, if the parents support their kids, this journey can become so beautiful, so enjoyable. But if it is just the students going for the tuitions, sitting and doing the homework, they get exhausted. They definitely get exhausted, and then they don't enjoy it. After 5 years down the line, they are not going to remember the mock exam results. They are not going to remember their scores, but they are definitely going to remember the support they got. They're definitely going to remember how this journey was. That impact is good. That impact they'll have in their mind. Not how what scores. Nobody, even I will not remember the scores. I don't even remember the scores of the last month's mocks. So it is not important. What you learn from it is more important.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, that's a brilliant tip for any parent who are listening and, trying to gather information about 11 plus process. This is the best bit, I would say, in the whole conversation that we are going to have. Let's dive deeper into the grammar process. We have covered the consortium, we have covered the catchment. We understand at a top level what application process can look like and when to expect the first mailers from each of these boroughs that your exam is scheduled to so and so date. Now let's talk about the preparation bit specific to the grammar. Which subjects other than maths and English are important for us, and what is the approach other than tutors is one bit, the approach of kids, parents, tutors, online material, online places where they can practice. How do you suggest that parents should approach this whole journey of learning these subjects, and what should be on the top of their mind while they are doing this?
So, apart from English and maths, you have verbal reasoning and non-verbal reasoning. These subjects sometimes are not taught they are definitely not taught at state schools, but these subjects are taught at prep schools and some of the independent schools. So, prep school is a category of schools who prepare you for the 11 plus exams. So, they are only till year 6. So, these schools they start verbal reasoning and non-verbal reasoning. So, of course, after once you start the journey with the tutor will guide you or teach you or provide you the material the way every tuition center, every tuition center or the groups, however they want to go ahead with it. But apart from that, to make this journey a little more, I would say, enjoyable for the kids. It's very, I think, if you add a little bit of online, I would say, the websites which some publications have. So like CGP has their online website for 11 plus, so they have, like, short tests which, those are for regular practice. Then you have Atom Learning. So Atom Learning is another website where, you can like pay the subscription. Bond Online is there for 11 plus, so you pay subscriptions for these on monthly basis, and then, the students can practice the topics or specific topics, specific English comprehension.
Let me just pause here. Since Deepa has mentioned Born Online Premium as a useful learning resource, Century Tech has shared a special gift for Unblur the Path listeners, a 7-day free trial followed by 20% off the first month's subscription. You'll find the link in the description below. To receive the discount code, please drop in a question for Deepa in the comments. Maybe just leave a feedback for us along with your email, and I'll share it with you. Thank you. Back to Deepa.
So all these websites have all the four subjects: verbal reasoning, non-verbal reasoning, maths, and English. So, gradually, if the child gets bored from the books, or doing papers on paper, just doing the test. So these online publications also, these are also very helpful side by side to the tuition centers wherever they go. It's a very important. Sometimes I think it is important as well, because it gives you a regular practice, additional practice. You have games, you have puzzles, you have various apps now as well for vocabulary, right? So there are various vocabulary apps, so you can practice, do these on a regular basis. Bedtime, 10 minutes, you just do these online. You can do it on your phone while you're driving, so these are the various things I think you can add on in addition to what they are regularly doing with the tutors.
Okay, and just a basic question here. Are the exams on paper or are the exams online? For
Grammar
grammar.
school exams are all on paper. So they are
Okay.
all, except Henrietta Barnett and the Sutton second round paper, all the first round is all multiple choice and it is on paper. So they are scanned by the computers eventually after that. And for the independent schools, some of them, the first round is online, and then second round you have to do a standard format or writing, basically.
Okay. Okay. So once the parents are in the strategy of, preparing, and that goes on for, say, if they've started in year 4, then goes on for 2 years. If they've started in year 5, goes on for a year. What should be their strategy just before the exam? Should they appear for mock exams? Should they practice more of papers? What should be their strategy?
Definitely, mock exams are very important, I would say, because mock exams will actually give you the real time exam experience. It will also help you to understand whether the child is able to finish the paper in time. So it will help in the time management and also help you with your nerves. Many kids get very anxious even if they are very capable, but they are anxious. The moment you say the name test, they are anxious and they don't perform well. Even if you give them the same paper, you give them in an comfort atmosphere or at home, they will perform really well, and but they can't perform when it is a group setting or an exam style setting. So for students like these, mock exams are very important. So, but one thing is there, the parents should not take mock exams as results of the mock exams as the actual exam results, because mock exam, you are appearing or you are giving you start your mock exam say in May. So if a child is giving a mock exam in May and the results, I would say, are disappointing, but that should not be that the child is not capable, or the child is not going to, or the child is not going to perform well in the actual exam. So you have to be understand that mock exams are not real exams. They are just indicators. They are not telling you the forecast. So, that thing you have to be very clear with. So, but it is very important to give these mock exams. Mock exams, paper practice is very important, because even if a child understands a topic, say for example, if I'm teaching in a lesson and a child understands the topic thoroughly, and we do 20 questions of that particular topic, and the child get 20 out of 20 questions right. So according to me, I think that the child has understood the topic, right? when I give the child after a couple of months, if I cover 4 or 5 topics and I give the child a particular, if I'm giving a test, and in that particular test, all 4, 5 topics are covered, the child is not able to perform. The problem is when you give different topics together, they can't answer the questions. They can't answer the questions right. Only because you have a combination of various topics. So you have to think in different ways. So, and when you're doing a mock exam, you have 20 different types of questions. So you need to understand how a child is performing when it comes as a actual paper or when it comes as a combination of different topics. So for that, mock exams are very important. So I believe in doing regular tests, regular mocks. For year 5 students is very important. Year 4, I can still understand you can go a bit gradual with it, but year 5 mocks are very important.
Okay. And there's an important aspect about mock exams and the actual exams is kids do not know how to work with time. So maybe that is also giving them a flavor of how to work with time. Try and finish your questions within the time limit.
Yeah,
So what should be a parent's or mostly a parent's strategy to teach the kids to work with time? Because that's a big learning curve, I think, for such young kids.
definitely. So if we think that any child is taking more time than required to do particular task, so then the best approach should be timing every task. Whatever homework, even simple homework, whatever homework or whatever task a child is doing, timing it. So if you keep the clock in front of the child and say you finish this in 10 minutes, and if the child is taking say 12 minutes today, just explain, go through the topics. Also, it's very important to go through the areas where the child is taking more time on, work on that particular area for a week. Next week, give a similar task, not the same task, of course, give a similar task and see whether the child is taking 12 minutes or the child is taking 10 minutes or the child is taking 11 minutes to finish the task. So you need to gradually build or gradually understand where the child is taking that particular or the extra time. Work on that area and then come gradually try to come down to 10 minutes or 9 minutes and then so on. This is one area. And the second thing is always try to do short tests with them on a regular basis, like 10 minutes test or 15 minutes test, rather than, because eventually they will have to do the paper for 15 minutes. But just to help them to do a particular task within the time limit, start with short tests. So, and build their or work on that area first.
Okay. Okay. And what is your suggestion on how many mocks should the parents target? I mean, they should not go overboard with, getting the kids to do mock every week or more than one in a week. So, what is your thought process in that?
The way things are nowadays and the competition in the market, the advertisement for the mock exams in the market. So mostly I see parents do mock every week. Mostly. That is what the trend is, what I can see now. But starting May, I would say once in a fortnight mock is sufficient. Because you do a mock, say 1st of May, you get the results in couple of days. Mock will tell you the weak areas in the child. At least you will give at least you will give 10 days, 12 days to work on those weak areas, because the mock exam you're not going to give in one subject. You're going to give the mock exam at least in 4 subjects or 3 subjects, depending upon the consortium or depending upon the type of exam what you're choosing. At least 3 subjects, say for example. So you need to give the child some time to work on those weak areas. Give another mock, maybe a similar mock, and then see whether the child is improving after working on those particular weak areas or not. So I think once in a fortnight from starting from May is a decent number. Every week I think it becomes a bit overwhelming with some of the students. Some can cope up with it. Rather than doing mocks every week, I would rather do practice papers at home. So that was my approach when I did with my daughters. So I would do mock at least once in a fortnight and regularly do practice papers, because practice papers at least help you to understand the weak areas. Mock exam, the main aim to go and give an exam or mock exam in person is to overcome your nerves. Giving exam with the cohort, giving exam in an examination hall, giving exam to the other students. Also, understanding where your child stands in the overall cohort. So that is also as important. But once in a fortnight, if you start once in a fortnight going from May, I think that's more than enough. I don't think we should go beyond that. It's not required. Parents do it, yes, but it is not required, according to my understanding.
What I have understood through the process is if I'm applying to 4 different borough exams, and I've realized that even though the subjects are similar, the papers are placed differently. The subjects are placed differently, or the style of questioning varies a little per borough. So, how do you advise parents to prepare for this surprises that can happen if they have not looked at it in detail when preparing their kids for each borough?
No,
So,
I
if you
would.
can.
I would say I would say that you should be well prepared. You should not have surprises. The only surprise you can have is the number of questions. The number of questions may vary, but because if you talk about boroughs, so say if you say Buckinghamshire, so Buckinghamshire covers all the 4 subjects: maths, English, verbal reasoning, and non-verbal reasoning. As compared to the Southwest Consortium, it covers only maths and verbal reasoning, right? So you should not be ready for surprises. You should be very well read. You should be very well prepared. You should be, I mean, the parents should look into it. Or if you are going to any tuition or any tutor or a tuition center, I think it is the responsibility of the tutors and the tuition centers to inform the parents, right? So they should be very well aware, because the surprises will not be for them. The surprise will be for the child. And it's not right if you're preparing the child for 2 years and you are not aware what kind of exam you're going to give for.
Yeah.
Right? So it's not right for the child. So you should be very well aware whether it is a standard format, whether it is going to be a multiple choice, what subjects it should be. And also the mock exams, what you give should be based on the target schools. You should not randomly pick up any exam and go and give for the mock. Right. So if you're appearing for Southwest Consortium, you pick up a mock for Southwest Consortium. If you're giving QE boys, you pick up a mock exam which focuses on QE boys or the style of the QE. Again, these mock exams, they don't know, they don't have the actual papers, because the actual papers are never available in the market. The schools don't release the actual papers. So these mock providers also, they make their own papers based on the past data received from the students from other sources. So they also make these papers. So you should give the mock exam, say for example, Slough Consortium. So you should give, if you're targeting Slough Consortium, also go and give a mock exam which prepares you for Slough Consortium, because the number of questions will vary, but the exam, the paper will, at least they should know the paper. They should know that if you're giving Slough or Bucks, verbal reasoning and English are both considered to be one paper. Non-verbal reasoning and maths are considered to be one paper. And they are 45 minutes paper, or 50 minutes, 50 minutes paper with a gap of 10 minutes. So a child should be aware of the style of the exam, what they are going to give for, or what they're going to be appear for.
No, that is what I wanted you to clarify, that parents should be on top of these things
Parents should be on the
when.
top of these things. I don't think so. It's fair on the child to go in the exams with and come out of surprise. No, that's what I say. The only surprise could be a different. The number of question may, and it will also not vary to a drastic extent. Maybe 5 questions up and down, not more
Yeah,
than.
yeah, sure. Let's cover the super selective schools again, because parents, this was all about the grammar schools, but super selective schools have a different preparation strategy, is what I understand. They need a little more than what other schools demand. So if you can enlighten people on that.
So the only difference is, see, maths, English skills are same. You have to learn maths and English throughout. You have to do verbal reasoning and non-verbal reasoning throughout. So the only, I would say, if I talk in percentage, 70% of the preparation is very similar to all the grammar schools. I would say the 30% preparation and for the super selective schools is slightly different, or I would say not different in the sense it was slightly more challenging. So you have to challenge your child beyond the particular academic year. So these super selective schools will always put some part or some questions in their papers which will be challenging, which will be beyond a child's academic year capability. I would not say beyond child's capability. You will have very intelligent kids who work way beyond the academic year capability. So I would say beyond year 6 then. So you should expect questions which are year 7 and sometimes even year 8 level. So there they try to see, because they are, of course, named as super selective, there they try to see how much a child can think out of the box. Their logical reasoning skills, their critical analysis skills. The critical analysis skills will be when they give them a comprehension and they are expected to critically analyze the whole comprehension, like write a 15-mark answer in 15 minutes. So that is what their expectations are in these super selective schools. So that is what I would say. So that is the additional preparation what you have to give. So once you finish your grammar school preparation, then you have to work more to achieve that top 30%.
Yeah. So let's talk about the two super selective school a little bit in detail, because I remember when I was in the process, it was very difficult for me to grasp because of the overwhelming information that's surrounding me all the time. That why does Henrietta Barnett have two set of exams? So it took me a while to gather and understand that okay, there's a round one and there's a round two, and similarly there will be something about the QE boys that we need to understand. So, if you can talk about that for the parents who may be targeting these schools, it would be helpful.
So Henrietta Barnett has 2 rounds. The first round is multiple choice exam. It has English, verbal reasoning, and non-verbal reasoning. They don't do maths in the first round. So it is a multiple choice exam, and the exam is only for 55 minutes. So you have like 20 minutes of 20 or 25 minutes of English, 20 minutes or 25 minutes. It varies sometimes 20 and 25 English and verbal reasoning, which is 45 minutes. And 9 minutes, which was last year, 9 minutes of verbal reasoning. That's it. So non-verbal reasoning, right? So English and verbal reasoning, 20 or 25 minutes, and 9 minutes of non-verbal reasoning. That is the first round, multiple choice. Second round, they have maths and English, which is a standard format. So in English, they give you a standard comprehension and creative writing. So those are the two sections in English paper. And you have a maths standard format paper where you have to show your working out and solve the questions. So this is divided. So they do the 2 rounds because once they release their results in September, around 23rd, 24th of September, they only give you the top 300. So only the top 300 are there for the second round. So, and then they don't release the results for the top 300. You straight away come to know on the national offer day whether your child has gotten or not. So from this academic year starting September, they have increased their seats to 120 seats. So from those 300 students, they'll select 120 and they will be given offer on the national offer day. So that is how their process is. For QE boys, they have only 1 round. They don't have 2 rounds. And they have maths and English. Both are multiple choice. There is no standard format. There is no creative writing, nothing in the QE exam, but there is creative writing and standard format of maths and English paper in Henrietta Barnett.
Okay. Okay. No, that clarifies a lot. For anyone wanting more information, they can dig deeper from there. But this is definitely how the exam looks like for these two schools. So, moving forward, once the exams are done, kids have performed, there can be good days, there can be bad days of exams. Once the exams are done, the wait period is long because the exams are done in September, October at max. And then the wait period is till first week of March. So, how should the parents be with kids around that time? Because I have seen around me parents being anxious. Kids are not anxious. Kids are done with the exam. They are not bothered. But parents being anxious, and there could be a few tips that you can share for parents at this.
I understand anxiety will be there because they've prepared for maybe 3 years, 2 years, and they are very anxious about the results. But I think I would say, as a parent, when I was as a parent, I would always think in a very positive way that whatever is the outcome, I'm happy for that. Because I know that my child has given 100%. I have given maybe 150%. We have parents, they sacrifice a lot, of course. They sacrifice your holidays, sacrifice social gatherings, if you want. So they sacrifice a lot. So the only tip I would say is, rather than being anxious, just think whatever the outcome is going to be, it's going to be positive. It's going to be what is best for the child. I'm not saying everyone is going to get the first preference. Definitely not. That's not possible. You don't have the borough, or the schools don't have so many seats. So I would say because you have planned, or you have prepared, or you've gone through the journey in such a way that you are mentally ready for plan A, plan B, and plan C, you should not be so anxious that it actually affects your life. And I would not be very, I would not, what would I say? I would not be very into that mindset of talking about it all the time and discussing, even when you're sitting with your, and especially not discussing in front of your children, right? And not talking about the schools all the time, because there is no point in making them more anxious as well. They have done what they could do. You can't change anything. You can't go back and change your paper. Even, for example, I would say, even if the child comes out and tells you that, I couldn't do 3 or 4 questions. I left 3 questions in the paper. You can't actually change anything out of it, right? You can't go back and change. It's just to, I would say, pray for the best outcome, pray what is best for your child, and always accept whatever you receive, whatever outcome is there. Just accept it with a positive mind, that because even if I didn't get my first choice, I got my second choice. I know this is going to be best for my child. So, that positive attitude, if you keep, see, anything you start with a negative attitude. You think, oh, I've got my second choice. This is not good for my child. I don't think so. This is right for my child. How will that school be right for your child? Because you're starting with that thought that I think this school is not right for my child, only because you got it as a second preference. You know, that mindset has to change. I think I come across many parents, and I said, it's very important to change your mindset. It's very important to change, to take it in a positive way. First preference, I know, celebrate it, enjoy it, I think the credit goes to the students more, or the children more, who put so much of hard work. Of course, the parents as well simultaneously. If you've got your second choice, don't show don't show to your kids that you are disappointed with the results. Because I don't think so. You will want your child to start with the journey with the disappointment, right? So it's very important for the I think it's very important for the parents to change their attitude before they change the child's attitude, because it's not going to help the children. The vibrations will work. So you start with a negative thought, or you start with worry, you start with anxiousness. Should I think? I don't think so. This is right, or I don't think so. She should have gone to that school. She should, all these things. I don't think so. Really matters. Day end, if the child will be successful, the child will perform the same way if the child has performed in the first preference. It's very important not to disappoint the child there.
Right, right. So between this time period of waiting for the results, there's a time when you have to fill the CAF form.
Yeah.
So if you can explain what the CAF form is and how to approach filling the CAF form for parents.
So CAF form is a common application form which you fill only when you're applying for the grammar schools or state schools. This list, it doesn't includes the independent school. So, and these schools you will fill up with the local authorities or the council. So the council manages the CAF form, and also the allocation of the seats, collecting, gathering information from the various schools. So, and the deadline of the CAF form is always 31st October. So you can fill the CAF form and keep it. It's available online. You can fill once you start getting results. Based on the results, you need to decide what should be your first preference, second preference, third preference, based on the results. Because if the child is doing better in one school and not your targeted school, so it's always good to keep that school where for sure the child will get a place as your first preference, so that the child will, so that at least you are sure on the national allocation day you get a seat in that particular school. So, and you can change the preferences anytime, even if you fill the form and you think, oh no, this should be my, you can this should be my third preference or fourth preference. You can still change the preferences till 31st of October midnight. So yeah, and that is all being monitored by the council.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So people need to go to the local authority website that they reside in,
Yeah,
and then they fill the choices in the order of their preference.
preferences. Yes.
Okay. Okay. And the next step after this is, of course, the offer day.
Yeah.
So when they receive around 1st or 2nd March, they receive the offers based on their selection in the CAF form.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. So anything that the parents need to know about this particular day and process the information based on your
When you
experience?
fill the CAF form, I think they get a login ID. So on the offer day, you need to log in the authority website and put in their password, and then they will get their results. So you should not wait, and for an email you have to log in to get your results. And I think that is around 5 o'clock. Mostly it is 5 o'clock in the evening where you log in, enter your password, and you get on the national allocation day. And I think the national allocation day is always the first Monday of, no, it was a Friday. Yeah. I think it's a Friday of March. So that I think you will come to know from the, once you, even they the council also puts it on their website when the results will be available. Yeah.
Of course, of course. So this primarily covered our grammar school discussion, and we can next discuss about the independent school process, which is a little different from the grammar school process. Thank you, Deepa, for all the information that you've shared on the preparation strategy and the whole grammar strategy that parents should take while being on this journey of 11 plus. I'm sure in the next episode, when we discuss about the independent schools, there'll be even more information to gather from you and your experience.
Thank you, Lakshmi, for having me. We'll definitely go ahead with the discussion about the independent schools and the various other areas which you still need to cover. Thank you for having me.
Pleasure is all mine. This conversation has reinforced something every parent needs to remember. The child should remain at the center of every decision regarding 11 plus, not the reputation of the school, neither the expectation of others, nor the results of one single examination. As Deepa explained, preparation matters, but so do balance, family support, realistic choices, and child's emotional well being. Children may eventually forget their mock scores, but they will remember how their parents made them feel throughout the journey. In the next part of this conversation, we will discuss the independent school process in greater detail, from applications and examinations to interviews and results. If you have any questions about the 11 plus journey, type them in the comments below. And if you would like the code to avail the discount on the bond online, drop a comment with your email ID and I will share the details. Thank you, Deepa, for simplifying a process that can often feel confusing and for sharing such practical and honest guidance. Please share this episode with another family beginning their 11 plus journey, or even if they're in the middle of their journey. And subscribe to this channel for more informed conversations for parents and students. Until next time, keep unblurring your path.